Hi, welcome back to Wrestling Fun with Father and Son. I'm Father Matt, and this is Son.
Hi.
And this is our AEW Explosive Elite Review. AEW 17th of the 6th, 2020, Kai. Started off with Kenny Omega, Adam Page versus QT Marshall and Dustin, defending their AEW Tag Team Championship belts. Not much, to be honest. There's a strange storyline with Ali and QT Marshall. That just doesn't make no sense. It's like the third change in a year for her. She was sort of a singles competitor, then she went to Butcher and Blade's manager, and now she's with him. It just doesn't really, to me it's really weird. She came out at one point of the match, started to cheer QT on. In the end, it was actually Omega and Page who actually retained, so nothing really further in the storyline there. It's just really, really weird. There was quite cool sequences during this during the show with Britt Baker, who was ringside. She had this sort of like pulley thing up to Tony Schiavone on commentary, and she was passing him notes. I thought that was quite a funny little sequence. She did that a few times during the show. Next, we had Anna Jay versus Abaddon. Again, Abaddon's been sent on Dark. This is the first time she's been on the show. She's kind of like a sort of horror-esque character. To be fair, she really got a quick win really quickly, beating Anna Jay. Not much to it. After this, the Dark Order came out. They went round to ringside. Colt Cabana was there. They gave him an envelope, and then they helped out Anna Jay. So it looks like they're actually trying to recruit women now as well, which is quite an interesting little thing for the Dark Order. The Dark Order, I don't think it's really been working that well, even though Brody Lee has come into the group. I still don't think they're working that well. So we'll have to see what happens. Next week it's going to be, I think it's going to be Brody Lee and Colt Cabana as a tag team, so that's an interesting thing as well. Next, MJF versus Billy, not Billy Gunn, Kai, because WWE have moved against AEW using Billy Gunn as the surname. Obviously, Gunn as his surname, shall I say. So now they try and get around it by saying it's like Billy and Austin Gunn, because they don't own Austin Gunn's name. So now he's just known as Billy. MJF had Wardlow, that was a big point. Billy did have Austin Gunn, but he didn't really have much of an influence to help Billy. MJF ended up winning because there was a referee's distraction. Wardlow threw the ring in, and MJF ended up hitting Billy with the ring and got the win that way. Next, we had a little sequence with Britt Baker again. She's on that sort of small pickup truck. She sort of had a bit of an altercation with Tony Schiavone and said to Reba, "Let's get out of here," only for it to be Big Swole, who then took her on a ride. We found out later on that she was in a dumpster truck. So it's quite an interesting thing.
It was a normal dumpster.
Is it? And it's quite interesting what they're doing with Britt Baker and her character with this sort of comedic heel. I think it's a really good fit for her. Next, we had Cody come out. He did a bit of a promo about, am I in the Elite? I don't know. Am I in the Nightmare Family? I don't know. They weren't there last week for me when I got beat down by Jake Hager. Double A, Arn Anderson got on the mic and said that it's not the time. The time is not right to face Hager. We found out later on it will be Fyter Fest, is where they do actually collide. Then it was the Open Challenge. It was against Ricky Starks, who is from NWA. I've never come across Ricky Starks, so he's new on me. This is for the TNT title, obviously the Open Challenge. I put it was hard hitting. There was a few quite hard shots with a forearm, some crack in the heads and that sort of thing. Only for Cody Rhodes to get the win, as we already knew he would do. Then we had Super Bad Squad, Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford versus the Young Bucks. This one sort of descended in a bit of chaos, as you would have thought. A couple of referee distractions. Havoc used like a wet floor sign. He tried to use a mallet. Penelope Ford used a wet floor sign. It was, like I say, a little bit chaotic. The Butcher and the Blade come down at one point to try and get a distraction, only for FTR to sort of even the scales, as it were. And then there was then the Young Bucks got the win. And then there was a bit of a massive brawl, and there was a bit of a show-off between FTR and Young Bucks, as we know that they want to face each other in the future. And then we get to the main event. Matt Hardy was on commentary because he's facing Sammy Guevara next week. It was the Le Sex Gods versus the Friends, and this was obviously for that #1 contendership. Like I say, the match just a typical match. The ending was more of the talking point. because Sammy Guevara got tripped up by, what was it? What was the person that he got tripped up by? It was a cameraman, wasn't it? He got tripped up by a cameraman. They ended up losing, so the best friends retained that number one contender shot, only for then the cameraman to reveal themselves to be
Orange Cassidy.
Yep, Orange Cassidy. He got into then a little bit of a scuffle with Jericho, and Jericho hightailed it with Orange Cassidy standing tall with the best friends. That was kind of it. So it's a little bit of redemption for last week, and juicing, as Jericho keeps calling it. Like I say, this was an average show again, consistent show, building for Fyter Fest. There was a couple of promo sequences. There was a outside interview with Taz and Brian Cage, and then there's a retaliation for John Moxley, but not really any weight to it. There's no stipulation been added to that match, which I think there should be, to be fair. If they want to build Brian Cage, then they should really put a stipulation on that match so that Moxley can use that to win. But that is what it is. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And just quickly interject self-promotion again. Me and my wife are now doing a Doctor Who podcast, so I'll put the links in the description for that one. And I think we'll leave it there, won't we, Kai? So we'll see you in the next video, which will be probably AEW next week, but it'll probably be Thursday afternoon, our UK time, because sadly, I was back to work next week. Back to a situation where we can go back to work now. So I think we'll leave it there. So I'll say goodbye, and say goodbye, Kai.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.